So we have to put this cap, that one goes on top of this corner bolt here. Not sure exactly why, but it always been there, so we're gonna put it back there. Doesn't cost anything to put it there. That's a weird thing. It's not even hard to believe this thing stays there, but cannot go many places, so that's fine. So now we're gonna put the cylinder head on top of that. I just put 1 pint of oil through the chain, so I'm gonna put the valve cover, and then I'm gonna pour all the oil in there. After that, I'm gonna address the injectors. I cleaned the surface all around, making sure if there's oil to remove it. So now it's time to put this thing on it. And it's gonna be a serious time-consuming thing. You have to screw all of those. I'm gonna get them close by hand. Try to do diagonals at first to locate it properly. I got one that's missing here. It's one of those. It just fell off. I'm gonna put it back. So this is gonna help to prevent we got any dirt getting into the engine. So that's the bolt that just fell off, as I said. This is just like a bushing. Normally the bushing is kind of press fit in the plastic. So normally you just kind of put it there. And by screwing it in place, it's gonna line up by itself. Also this, if you look on the other side here, the vacuum, this is a vacuum port for the, it starts from the vacuum pump and it goes into the brake booster. So we're gonna put a rag in there to plug this hole as well, to keep it from getting any debris that gets in there. So, and I'm gonna keep going on with screwing up the valve cover. So what I use is one of these that is very useful for these kind of boats. Also I have a swivel here that I put as a, it helps like some places you don't have the room, so it allows for some angle in the thing. I don't I just pick up the slack. I don't want to set anything tight. It's just picking up the slack. It's barely touching it. I don't want to crush the seal. I just want to pick up the slack. These long bolts here, these 3 long bolts for the ground, I'm gonna do them at the last, really the last. I don't want them to carry any load. Meanwhile, at the others are ready, I just want to put them when everything is set, so they're gonna just take their fair share without having to take too much of the load. I gotta try to be careful not to get any dust or dirt in the oil filter housing because it's not sealed. There's all the one in the middle is also to be done. Okay, so it's gonna be time to torque this thing. We're gonna start by the middle, which is yeah, in between cylinder 3 and 4 or 3 and 4. So we're gonna start by the middle. So we're gonna do this one here, then this one here, then we're gonna do this one. I'm gonna skip this one. Then we're gonna do 1 row out, 1 row out, 1 row out, 1 row out. We're gonna go from the middle toward the outside, so it's gonna like spread the gasket. So the torque I found for that, not for these, but for all the others, 75 pound-inch. So that's what I'm on to now. You gotta be careful not to make anything drop in the middle, because the injectors are not in yet and the spark plugs are not in yet. On this row, I'm gonna do the two in the middle. I'm just keeping these for the grounds. So I'm gonna do, in fact I can do these in the middle first and go in toward the outside after that. So that's what it is. In order to torque these, you remove the nut. Be careful not to drop it, again because of the injector holes that are not plugged and the spark plug holes. So my socket is a bit too short, doesn't matter, you just put it on. The square fits but not all the way in. You just pick up the slack, then you torque those. Same thing, you cannot go with a swivel, it's got to be square because my socket is too, unless your socket is deeper than mine. Once it's torqued, sometimes the socket kind of stays stuck, so I take a big screwdriver and I just give it a little shot, and then put the nut back on top. Don't drop it. This is oil that keeps falling all over the place. Empty oil bottle. So this is good. So next step is going to be to fill up this thing with oil. I'm going to put rags all around because I don't want to, you know how sometimes you want to fill this thing with oil and it spill all over the place. I'm going to put a bunch of rags all over, so if I miss a line, I'm not going to make a mess in the hole there. So that's it. So I'm going to dump 6.5 oil paints. I just put one already on the chains. So there's 5.5 to put up there. So to read the 0.5, you just read on the side of the oil paint. Like if you look here, you got this graduation system on one side. So once you start pouring some oil, you're able to see either from outside or when you look inside the bottle toward the light, you can tell when it's halfway there. That's it. Okay, so now we have to make the, in fact we have to fit the injector back in. So first off, we want to remove this ring here. We got to replace these rings. Okay, this is an old ring. These two are old. Then it's time to clean this thing with some brake cleaner. Trying to You need to put the injector back where they were before, else you need to go in the computer and change the values in there. There's a ton of people trying to tell you how it's done. It's with these values here, these 6-digit number. There's something to be done with that, about creating a delay, adjusting the delay of the ECM for it. Okay, so now it's time to remove this ring here. to do. So I take pliers like that, small long nose, just grab it. So you pinch it like this. You gotta pinch the rubber only. Here it is, easy as this. Then you take this green stuff and you scrub it to take off this crap around here. Some of those, they have aluminum here. I don't know if you can see it. There's like a line of aluminum around here. So I try to scrub it. I guess they got it from the cylinder head. Cannot see any other where else where it can come from. You gotta be careful not to damage that tip. This is where it's gonna open and close. So once you're done with that, another shot of brake cleaner. Seems good. Okay, then we want to install this new ring here. It's got to snap here on these on this groove with the 3 tabs. And then the funny thing, so these rings are like having a kind of a memory, like if you stretch it, they remain stretched. You cannot fit it in as is, it's not gonna go through, so it's like you gotta stretch it. So I use this sponge here. You go down, then you get it out, flip it, stretch some more, get it out. So you do that maybe like 4 or 5 times, whatever you need. When it's good enough, when you feel like it's getting a bit deeper, what I do is I have a socket here. It's a 4mm. I'm gonna use the end of it because of its outer diameter. So I'm trying to get on top of it. If it's not going properly on, you just have to go back to the punch and stretch it some more. Okay, and then here I have it's 5/16 of an inch, which is about 8mm, which is the diameter of the DOD of the injector. So you can push it a bit in there. Trying to use this angle here, trying to stretch it a bit some more. Just a little. Then on the other side, trying to stretch it a bit more. Then I'm gonna get it on top of the injector. It's not gonna go in exactly, so I'm using this hole here and I'm trying to get in. Okay, this hole is a bit too big. I got a smaller one here. I don't know the diameter. I can measure it and let you know. The injector is not gonna go right through it, so I gotta be careful not to bang it. But I'm using it so I can push the ring all around. Then you can turn it around, because else it tends to try to dig in the hole in one of the side. Here it is. So now you just pull it in there in the groove. So if you see now it's in the groove, but the ring is a bit big. So now we have to shrink it back. So the way I do that, I'm using masking tape, just a little piece of it. The idea is to isolate the next layer. And then the real deal is the electric tape. So what we want to do is we want to stretch the tape. It's the stretch in the tape that is going to make it to shrink. If you don't have the masking tape, what it's going to do, it's going to create a loop, and the loop is going to try to go around. So the masking tape isolated. You can go a few turns. You're trying just to make some force to it. Then just cut the tape. Then you can try to squeeze it all around. You can let it sit for about a minute. You can see the ring is right here. The idea is really about stretching the tape. You can see the little bump here on the sides. So you just want to let it sit for maybe, as I said, a minute. Then that should be good enough. So you can remove it. The ring is going to be a bit it's going to be shrunk a bit. So after that, what you have to do, you just go by your engine and you push that thing in. What we want to do is we want to make the ring smaller enough so that when we push, it doesn't try to go above the groove. That's the idea. So it says that when you take out an injector, you have to replace this ring and this retaining here. This one is the funny part, I'm gonna tell you. And you can, if you feel like it's sticky, you can always use a bit of a brake cleaner here. Try not to put too much on the ring. Now if you look at the ring, you can tell it's a bit bigger than the injector itself, but not so much, just a little. So now if we're gonna push it inside, the ring is not gonna be able to go above the groove and get squeezed in between the injector and the hole in the cylinder head. So that's gonna work. Be sure to put that ring here first. I forgot about the last one, so I'm gonna have to redo it. So now go to the engine and put this thing in. You gotta make sure the tab goes, I'm on the exhaust side now. This is the pulley side. So there's a notch in there, there's a square notch. I don't know if you can see on the tip of the injector, or you can look on the others. There's a tab in the cylinder head. That tab is for that square here. So you gotta line it up. So you just line it up smoothly at the beginning. I felt like using a rag to push here makes it easier. Now I'm on an engine stand, so I like to put a hand underneath it to support it while I push. Like you put a hand here and you push at the same time. You gotta push significantly. You just push that thing in. It's a bit hard at the beginning. Make sure the tab aligns, else you're gonna push all you got and it's never gonna go in. almost in. The tab with a flat screwdriver. Actually, I think it's in. If you look here, let me show you. Tab here. When it's all the way in the groove, it's good. That's it. Put the hold down bracket for the injectors. It's got to be like a sad face. This is going down. Then it doesn't really want to cooperate that easy. Let me see this thing. Okay. Once it's down there, maybe a big screwdriver. So with the big screwdriver, you just put it in place. Put it in place and hold it in place. Okay. Then put the bolt on the magnet. Then we're gonna go with the proper E socket. I've got socket E10. Okay, something is not turning properly here. Okay, we're gonna have to check what's going on here. I'm gonna check something's not right with this. Careful not to drop anything. The spark plugs are not in yet. Maybe I should have put them on. Make sure not to drop anything in the like a bolt or something. It's the bracket itself that was interfering with the bolt. So if it's not easy, you just try to with the screwdriver try to shake the see here, you get it in the slot and you just shake it all around until it's good. So the torque we found for this is 115 pound-inch. It's not the right bolt dimension, but that's what we found. So for now we can just set it by hand as much as we can. We're gonna do the two remaining and then we're gonna torque those. Now we're gonna turn the crankshaft clockwise and we're gonna see when the oil is gonna reach in the oil filter housing. Ready? Oh, no. There we go. Okay, so now oil reached the oil filter housing. That's all we can do for now, because the coolant hose, the cooler hose for the oil system here that goes underneath, are obviously not plugged in the car. So if we keep going, we're gonna just we're just gonna create a serious mess. So that's good. So now we're gonna set the oil filter. Gonna replace this thing. So first off, we can replace the cartridge that you just pull out. Let me put this in a safe place. Then we have to replace the O-rings. There are two O-rings on that thing. First one is here. So you go with a screwdriver. Okay, and the other one is here outside. The tool is still on, because when you torque it with the tool kind of get locked to it, and it doesn't really matter. So there's no point in trying to take it out and then try to get it back in. It's gonna squeeze anyway. So when you get the oil filter, it should come with these O-ring all the time. So it's better to put some oil on it, but it's already full of oil, so now it's just a matter of putting. Don't try not to use tool to put that thing on. Just your finger should be good enough. And then we release this big one here. And we're going to put the new one. You can always try to clean a bit, but it's going to need some oil. It's going to need only reason you would clean this is if you think you have like dirt in there or something. So you put the new one, install that on. Okay, then you put the new cartridge, slide that in. Well, we'll do that at last. I'm gonna put oil first on that thing. So if you look here, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna put the light. You're gonna use the oil that is there with your finger. Just put some on the O-rings. This one and this one outside. Once you're done with this, now we can put the cartridge. Yeah, you just push in. Once it's in, just put that thing over it. Just have to screw the thing on. I like to take it with an extension, but it's got to be a square one, cannot be swivel. You can also do it without any. You're gonna feel the O-rings that are at work. And then we torque that thing at 221 pound-inch. That's it. Okay, so time to put the spark plug on. I'm just gonna put them by hand. I don't want to torque them fully, because once the engine is gonna be in the car, just prior to start it, I'm gonna turn the crank again, but this time I'm gonna be able to turn it much more, since the oil line for the oil cooler is gonna be plugged. So for now, because I don't want to crush that seal on the spark plug and have to I mean, you can always use it again, but I'd rather have to use it when they're brand new. So you use the magnet, you screw them in place just a little. So the spark plug socket is a 14 millimeter. It's a 12-sided socket. So you just insert it there. You just tight it by hand, just so we seal the gap in there, so that nothing's gonna enter the engine. No dust, no nothing. Once it's done, you're done. So you just repeat for all the remaining spark plug, just to seal it like that, and then the engine is mostly sealed. The only thing that's remaining is gonna be these things on the exhaust side. You know, all the manifold and the connection for the turbos, and on the intake side there's only the intake manifold that is open. Time to install the piping coming out from the fuel pump. In order to do this, you need to have your bolt handy. The bolts that are laying here underneath, there are 4 of them, and there's one coming here with this bracket. They're all alike. So I forgot to in fact I forgot, but I thought I could do it afterward. But these clips, this one and this one here, which is the same, you need to install them prior to install these hoses, otherwise you're not going to be able. First clip, well, I did it another time before, but when I undo it this time, this clip was here, then you skip one, and then the other clip was here. Okay, time to install the hoses, fuel lines that go on top of the cylinder head cover valve. Cylinder head cover. It's a good thing to check how the hose are fitting inside the like it's a ball here, so you want to check how it fits with the holes. This one fits good, this one here doesn't fit right. So this one was like maybe it switched with another one, so maybe it's the one that goes here, so I'm going to check with the other one. Yeah, that's more like it. Okay. This one, it might be the fuel injector that has to turn a little. So I'm not sure what's going on with this. The inclined side that is like in an angle, that goes with the fuel rail, obviously, and the one that is straight goes into the injector. This one is yeah, it would be it would do good if I flip this one a bit. So I'm gonna loosen up this bolt that hold the bracket, and I'm gonna be able to twist it a little. This is loose. Now that fits better. See? Now it fits just right. Just gonna pick up the loose for now on this bolt. After that I'm gonna have to torque it like it should be torqued. Make sure the bracket is evenly balanced in between the two injectors. And then it's going to be a matter to use a key 14mm and torque both ends of each hose and torque this bolt in the middle. That's all there is to it. So I torqued this bolt first to hold on properly the injectors. Then torquing this one first is better because it's straight up, and then you finish by torquing this one there for each hose. Okay, time to install the idling pulley. So the bigger one goes here at the bottom. You just have to basically pick up the slack, pick up the loose or the slack. So we figured out that it's 28 pound-feet. This is done. Then we put the cap on it. It's done. Now up to the smaller pulley. The smaller pulley goes right here. Right here. Smaller pulley goes here. Oops. And same torque we found. The cap. Okay, done. This is the binder. So the idling pulley goes below the one that you use to put that thing in. The aluminum block has got like 2 notches. You're gonna see there's like just one way that thing can fit if you put this one at the bottom. So pick up the loose. So this one we found a torque of 30 pound-feet. Okay, time to install the vibration damper pulley. So this pulley doesn't need any particular alignment. So you just have to line it up here, the holes, and then you set the 6 bolts in there. When you torque it by hand, it sets on its diameter. Torque I found for this is 26 pound-feet. When you torque something like that, you want to do like opposites, and then you make like a star pattern kind of thing. That's it.